All right, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we all... I'm a leaky tire. Those are all just as many references to things that sound like shh as possible. Please make sure that you got homework written down, a plan book, and header on your paper. It's an easy header today. Y equals mx plus b. You can put a little multiplication symbol in here if you want, but you don't need to. And this could be plus or minus. You could make it that plus or minus symbol, but you don't need to right now. Without further ado, because the homework is also over on the wall over there, let's dive into what we're doing today. My hope is that we can cover this whole lesson more quickly than we necessarily need to, and then spend some time on practice work. So I want you to take a moment on your graph paper to just write out and leave a little bit of space around it any of the examples you can remember that we've been working with that are in the y equals form. So if you think back to the sheet we were doing yesterday before we graphed it, a bunch of them had the same something x, right? But then they had different plus something. So write down a few examples. Just take them, just in your head, or on your paper. Write down a few of those y equals that we've worked with. And if you need to look back at yesterday's sheet, you can. From any other ones that we've used. You can do homework, problems that we've seen.
Is it just one of them or all of them?
A few, just because we're going to compare things. Mr. Dale, give me one that we've worked with. 2x plus 3. I'm just going to use cards. It makes life easier. Mr. Ray, give me another. Where'd Logan go to? Ah, you are back. Did you get back in time to hear what we were doing and everything? Okay, so copy off Josh probably. We wrote down a few equations that we've worked with so far. I will put you back in the middle of the stack. Bear, give me an equation you had.
Oh, 4x plus 4. Can I do this?
Y equals 4x plus 1. I'm just going one at a time, man. Skipping around. Henry, give me one that you had written down.
Y equals x squared minus 4.
Ooh. Now we'll go one more. Hazel, did you get one written down? Do you have one different than these? Were you not with us on the activity? I can't read your smile. Is that a yes or no?
Y equals x squared.
Ooh, y equals x squared. Now, these last two are actually, I don't want to phrase it like that. They don't belong in this party. Right? Now, sometimes, like my sister had a birthday party that I was not allowed at, right? Like sometimes you're not allowed at that party because you don't match the, like, if it's an all-girls party, right, they're going to be like, hey, get out of here. You don't know the secret password or something like that. So those of you doodling right now, please stop across the board. Nobody should be drawing right now. We're all going to analyze why these things don't belong at the party.
Why?
So, Alina, do you know why these two don't belong at the party?
Those are parabolas.
Ooh.
And that means that, well, I don't know this exactly, but usually parabolas have different equations than, like
What about the shape?
linear.
Can you tell me anything about, ooh, look, what were you about to say?
Like linear.
I love how you just said it. Linear is what we're actually looking at. So these equations are in the form of something times x plus something. That, we need to write down on our paper, means that they are linear equations. So any equation, we can abbreviate equations as EQS. Linear equations have the form of y equals m times x plus a b value. Everybody should be writing this down. As you see pencils in hands and erasers moving, and it's real easy to see if you're writing or not. Fair?
Can I repeat the other two?
Can you what?
4x plus 2 and 4x plus 3. Those are the other two.
Yeah. So we had more, but then I agree. Thank you. But I asked you what you had said, and you just went ahead and like we don't need more equations. When we look at these equations, they're different. Now the ones Bear just threw out, they both had 4x's also. These two equations both have a different number in front of the x and a different number as the b, quote unquote. So we want to analyze in these equations, what does this tell us? So can anyone tell me in an equation of y equals mx plus b what the m tells us, Charlie?
The m is the coefficient to the x.
Yeah, that doesn't really tell us what it does, though. You're right. But like in the sense of a linear equation, like what is it doing, Audrey?
So m tells you how much it changes between numbers.
What do you mean?
So
Give me more.
how
You're
much
right.
adds. So if 1 was 6 and m was 2, sorry. If
Give me an example of an equation. We'll just start there. So you can tell me with numbers. Y equals
times 1.
2x plus 1, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, like something like that. And then it's going to go up 2 each time.
Yeah, m is... Sorry, this kind of looks bad. Yeah, but we don't care about that word right yet, because we need to make sure we know what that means. M, I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying we don't care about that word yet. M is the growth. Please write this down. I don't know if we even need the word for. M is the growth each time. Sorry, each time. I can't write today. X goes up, or you could say increases, if you want to write the word increases. Yeah, but if you don't know what slope means. So guys, one of the things that we've tried to change with teaching math is, and I'm going to say this real directly and somewhat meanly, I don't give 2 cents of cares about you being able to regurgitate m is slope, m is slope. I don't even care if you can tell me m is rise over run, unless you can tell me what that means. I've met plenty of adults that made it all the way through their math career, and when we talk about these things, they can regurgitate, literally spit back something they memorized. And I'm like, yeah, well, what do you do with that? And they're like, I don't know. But on the test, when my teacher said find the slope, I knew it was 2. I'm like, yeah, but what does a slope of 2 mean? How's a slope of 2 compared to a slope of 3? And they're like, 2 is different than 3. So I don't ever want you to feel bad when I say, yeah, but we don't care about that yet. We need to understand why and how before the vocab matters. Sandra?
So are you implying that we should, instead of memorizing a term, memorize what it means?
Yeah, but with that, you'll end up learning the term. So don't memorize what things, learn how things work, and you will learn the term. Yeah, I agree. The memorization is kind of silly. And that's just my true opinion. With the stems, even you probably first memorized them, but you've now been learning them and how they work with other words. And that's why we don't just test you to regurgitate the stem, but actually with a word. Turn to your neighbor and talk about what the B means. So what's the B value tell us? No, you guys are talking. I'm talking too. What's the B value tell us? Now you know what the B value is. Chat about it.
Yeah. That totally makes sense.
Yes. I don't think so. Unless my butt is the initial quantity of y when x is 0. No, I have been told that I don't have a butt, so if that were the case, this would be a linear equation that intersected at the origin. Because if there is no y-intercept, like I've been told I have no butt, like your intercept would be a 0. Right? Pants.
So I don't know. I scored 100% on my test, and I was like, oh, wait, I was only supposed to get 70%. You I didn't take it.
The B value, Ike. Ike, you know what the B value is. I don't know what that means. It's the break in the graph. You gotta give me more. I just don't know what you mean.
I don't know how to explain it.
We can pass it off if you want.
Ooh.
Josh?
So it's like where you get it. So like say if you get a tree when it's 3 inches tall, that would be the break in the graph.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit more.
What we said is it's the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is the number added to the f value.
You said a lot of big words there that we'll learn later, but you're right. Yes, you're using big words.
It's the y-intercept, but also it's when x is 0, what is y?
It is the y value. You can say y-intercept if you want, but it's the y value when x is 0. So also known as the y-intercept, or the constant in the equation, because it's not gonna change.
I read a book where this is relevant. I read a book where one of the characters' names was Constance, and the whole point of her characters was she was 3 years old, so she was incredibly stubborn, which means she was very constant, which is why she was named.
Now, the irony behind that is the younger you are, the more plasticity your brain has, which is the ability to learn and change and grow and develop. So there's actually a great irony in there. So when we go to look at something such as 2x plus 1, it will grow by 2 every time it takes a step. But it starts its steps when x is 0 and y is 1. Which makes sense, because if I plug in 0 here, we just get 1 for the y value. So when we go to use this was 31, right? We wrote a bunch of stuff there. We use this when we look at situations like when we don't have the rule just given to us. So with your neighbors or with yourself, I don't care, determine what is the y equals mx plus b rule that matches this situation. It's on the graph paper still. It's not on. I will tell you when it's on the purple sheet. Figure out the growth, figure out the starters. Please don't fall over again. That was pretty nice. I never had to get all forward through the table.
I was confused on how you did that.
What?
Wait, how?
Well, as long as no one
I was reading now.
take a look at
I
it.
did.
Because you go again tonight, right? All right. Now, what's up with this dotted line? What is up with this dotted line? Alina, what's going on with this dotted line? Hey, bring it back. Yeah, what shape does it make for us? This, and you could make a note on your papers if you want. You don't have to, but this is what we call a growth triangle. Because when I look at the line, the vertical, and the horizontal, I make a triangle where at the bottom it is 1 wide, which is the 1 step. Right? So if I have a staircase and I go 1 stair and I go up to 4 and I started at 1, what is my step? How high? It's 3, right? So this 3 tells me the growth. So the growth here tells me each growth, which the M, right? M is our growth. M is 3. And more technically, please write this down, then I'm coming to you, Simon. More technically, we would write 3 over 1 just in case the growth triangle doesn't have a bottom of 1. So now we can talk about other ways we can write M. I'll come to Simon, but I don't know if you're going to say what I'm about to say or not, but go ahead.
So a thing I just realized is that the distance, so the growth triangle is like this, and so that's a distance of 3 to get up. But then, because this is 1, a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Stop, we're not there. Nope, sit down. What he's saying is right, but we're not anywhere close to doing that math yet. We're not going to spend class time on it. Okay, I'm sorry. I would love to just jump all over the place, but then we'd never have, like, you're totally on a different road talking about the Pythagorean theorem. Now, it would work here, but we don't care how long this is. That's where I think you're on a bad track right now. The length of this line doesn't matter at all. We just care about the growth and where it starts. Now, later in the year, like March, then we'll care about the third side of the triangle. Does that make sense? You just gotta wait. You just know too much. That's the issue.
You know too much.
You know too much. So M. No more questions at the moment. On your paper, graph paper, you should have written M can also be figured out by taking your rise over your run, which we talked about this once, I believe, is the delta y over the delta x. Who remembers what delta means? Yeah, yeah, changing. Right? So difference works, but it means the change in. So guys, this is a science symbol. It's a Greek letter, but it's a science symbol that we use for change in. Because mathematics is a branch of, like, they're tightly tied. We share a lot of things. Science and math, yeah, we're.
We are.
Why is math what?
Why isn't math blocked with science then?
Because connections is an easier thing to, like, filter in some astronomy or different, like, whatever they want to do. I have too many standards to cover, and so does Mr. Cabilo. Mr. Estes, he's teaching his own class that he wrote the standards for. And it comes from a critical thinking course from, I forget, you'd have to ask him. But there are courses in other countries all about critical thinking. So we could set up a similar growth triangle right here.
You wouldn't do that in this case, but
Well, we could.
well, you could, but it wouldn't be the simplest way.
Ah.
Because in other ways, in other examples, 1 might not be the easiest way to like determine something in like the graph. So let's just say that. Wait, can I go up?
Sure. Okay.
Let's just say
red
say
and
that,
green.
okay, 1 would be like right here. And that wouldn't be the simplest place to look for it. But if you find 2 right here, which is not accurate, don't like, it'd be easier because you could just divide it by 2.
I'm not even going to repeat what Alina said because she said it very well. If you weren't listening, that's on you. Oh, no. No, you're all good. All right, so hopefully you heard what Alina said. Otherwise, you'll figure it out when you get to it. I just didn't paste everything in here first because some of it we don't even need the smart stuff. So, if you, now this should be on your whatever color you want to call it paper. Or Oracle, or Oracle, Oracle. There we go. For every, hey, bring it back. I can only goof around if we can bring it back. For every table you see there in 33, and I forget if there's actually a separate question or if they're all tied together. Yeah, for all 3 of those tables, determine what's your growth, what's your y-intercept, and what is the formalized y equals rule that corresponds with that table. So find the growth, find the intercept, and then write out the rule in the y equals mx plus b form. No, I mean, if you can just piece it all together. Yeah, you don't have to make it 3 different steps if you can just do it all together. Avi was asking, do I have to write out like the M and then the B and then the rule? No, if you can figure it out, that's fine, but I do need you to fill in the table if it needs filled in. So go ahead and fill that in because then that would help us graph it. So, but if like a lot of times we will then graph it, right? So a lot of times we're doing this to get to a point of graphing. I keep misplacing, and I have a home for the pens, and I keep misplacing it. It tells me this, which really tells me that plus 5 is the what, Katie Ann? What is 5 in this situation? Is it the growth or the y-intercept?
It's the growth.
The growth, so is it the M or the B?
It's the M.
It's the M, so we know y equals 5x, and then we know there's probably going to be something out here. Now you could always put a plus, and if you need to, you could just put a 0, and then it just kind of disappears. But in this case, Avi, what is the intercept or the, like, where do we start? What's the
-2.
Yeah, -2, right? The beginning. So we could either erase that plus and make it a minus, or just do plus -2. I like adding the negative. It's up to you if that really bothers you and you're like, why did I write parentheses? Why did I? You can just do -2. Is that what you did?
Yeah, I figured something out.
Nice. In part B?
No.
Okay, so here if we keep adding 5, our outputs are then 7. Help me out. It's a -2, right? I'm glad that all of you just got really mad all of a sudden. You're just like, what? Okay, so this is 3, 8, 13,
18, 23, 28.
Ooh, did you say 26? Careful out there. No, we did not have 21 there. He is not part of this party. Now, even if you aren't there yet, not to put you on the spot, but especially since you just celebrated and now your card is up. Xander, what is the growth in I? Yeah, it looks like 2 because it is 2. So this growth is 2.
There is a 21.
Eh,
Extra test.
Time and place maturity. Logan, what about the y-intercept in I? How do we find the y-intercept? What are we looking for?
Well, just look at x at 0.
Yeah, we're looking for the x at 0. Yep, so it is 5 here. So our equation then, when we put it all together, becomes, Audrey, y equals?
Oh. Y equals 2x plus 5.
2x plus 5. And guys, I warned you about this at the beginning of the year that I just keep going through the stack. Like, stay alert. What's up?
I think you have a mistake in there. On 2i, I think this should be 3.
Ooh. How did that typo happen? That's really weird. Yeah, that's just a weird. So sometimes CPM is trying to play tricks on you, and like they'll jump an input, and instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, they'll go 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. Like they'll skip some numbers and mess with you. But here, this is just a typo. So please change that to a 3 on your paper. That's just, and actually, there's a spot on the ebook where I can go in and say like, hey dudes, you got a typo in your stuff. Like there is a spot where CPM's like, tell us about our typos. Simon?
Can you just throw me my cards since I was getting pulled too much?
No, it's in here. You're what? You want to count how many down? You're 3 down.
Oh, okay.
You're right here.
Wow.
Hazel, we're back at your card. What does it look like the growth is in double I here? We're going up or going down? Yeah. Yeah, the growth, quote unquote growth, is actually a loss. It is a -3 or a -3. Ashita, what is the intercept here? Well, there's multiple Alexes. 7, meaning that our equation, when we put it together, Ellie, is what equation?
-3x plus 7.
Yeah, make sure we always say y equals or something equals -3x plus 7. Absolutely. Henry?
You know, one day you should try calling us all by our last names.
Like, I don't know. Good challenge. I can do it.
What does that mean? We would get to call all the teachers by their first names?
I don't really care. That's a board policy. That's like a district policy. You guys, if I haven't clearly said, you don't have to call me Mister, but you do have to call me Hudson. Yeah, it's like some respect thing. I don't care if you just call me Hudson.
We call you Monica.
No, because the board says you'll get in trouble. Like, it's not a me rule. It's a Worthington rule.
There's spying on us?
Yeah, I would think
How would they know? There's spy cam in here. Hold on. We have to keep going in class because Simon's card is next. All right. Here's your final tasks. At least I believe. No, we have like a couple more. Nope. Just here's your final tasks. These 2 things. On your graph paper, we're done with your olive paper. It's definitely not olive. On your graph paper, you want to invent your own pattern that meets the stated conditions. So for A, we want to draw. Your drawing might be different than somebody else's drawing. So I'm kind of saying you don't need to do the same thing as your neighbor. Draw a shape pattern, like a tile pattern, that would follow the rule of 4x plus 3. So your first, actually your 0th, right, your 0th term, your 0 term, your beginning, would have how many tiles? 3. And then you'll go up by 4 each time, however you want to draw it. And I will invite people to share their tile patterns on the dot camera. So if you make what you think is like really cool and beautiful, and you're like, hey, look at mine, we'll share it on the dot camera. In B, a tile pattern that decreases by 2 tiles, and figure 2 of it had 8 tiles. Draw figures 0, 1, 2, and 3. Then in 35, invent 2 different tile patterns that grow by adding 4 every time, but have different XY tables. Draw figures 0, 1, 2, 3. Well, if they have the same growth, how could they have different XY tables? Let's say 5 minutes. Those are your final tasks.
Are we allowed to use the ones from yesterday? Do we have to make our own?
Did I say you couldn't? Rule I learned in like different competitions and stuff is like, did anyone say you couldn't? People are thinking, brains are working. Now remember, the tile figures that come like after your 0 have to be able to be said how they grow. Like we put 4 more on it in this way. They can't all just be like their own unique shapes. They have to relate to each other. There has to be a growth that we see. Oh, yeah, like today's homework is 414. Okay, so also on that note, on Friday, I've heard you guys are stacked up with a variety of assignments. On Friday, all I'm gonna collect. Everyone was like so suspensefully waiting. 411 through 413. Okay, those 3 assignments. That's all I'm collecting on Friday. Okay, so from tonight's homework on, because I've heard some people are stressed and there's a lot of assignments stacked up. That doesn't mean don't do them. It means they'll get pushed to next week's homework collection. Okay, so 411 to 413 getting collected Friday.
And then what's getting collected next week?
It will continue to be the rest of, like, you know what I mean? So keep doing them.
From
Technically, you should have 415 done by Friday. But I'm trying to be nice and take a little bit of weight off you guys. I am going to collect 414, 415. I will collect those. I Scouts honor tell, like I guarantee it. But I'm not doing it this week, so I'm trying to make your life a little bit easier. Sharpen your pencil. Nope. End of chapter 3. Nope, we've moved on. I told you guys I might not, and I just decided I'm not. Is anybody really proud of what they did for 34 and you want to show it? Let's do Alina, Simon, Elena. Come on.
I'm not finished with my second one.
It's okay, we're just doing 34. I gotta get the dock camera to load. Get a lot of people talking that I doubt are done with everything. I got people talking that I doubt are done with everything. You're about to get a first class ticket to a regular desk for the rest of the year. Alright, explain to us your brilliant thinking, Lena. Sorry, I should stop trying to focus on this. Do you not hit the right button on the button buttons? Far right button. Yep, then hit the snowflake.
Okay, so mine is very simple. You're adding 4 each time, and you start with 3. So I just did 3 blocks, and then I add like 2 on each side each time.
Yay!
Does it all make sense? It's like its legs are getting longer, right? Like it's like a table or something, and it's got legs of 2 and then legs of 4. And
with 2 noses.
Yeah.
No, it's Pinocchio's mom. The X's are.
I'm gonna do the second one.
But I want to do your first one also. Okay, so this is where it's really funny about different ways to think through things. I just was about to whisper to Simon, hey, figure 0 needs to be, and then I stopped, and I thought, and I realized what he did. So hold on. I don't want him to explain it first. I want you to think for a second. How would you describe the growth? Not go up by 4. How would you describe how to draw the growth?
You want the top one?
The top one right now. Take a moment to think. Then drum roll. Simon, tell us how it grows.
You add 2 on the top and 2 on the sides each time.
It grows top, bottom, left, and right. It just grows orthogonally. Right? But it looks a little weird just because it starts like 3 wide and then boom, boom, and then boom, boom. So it grows at every point. Right? Orthogonals like north, south, east, west. We'll come back to the second one.
This one's
And
my
then
A, this one's my B.
another A. We start with 3. You want to explain it?
So, 3, and then it adds 4 each time.
It is just getting very, very tall. And then an example of B.
It subtracts like 2 from 1 from each side.
And eventually we're gonna run out of Y. And then here's Simon's B. Or II.
So, the way it works is,
Yo, people in the hall, stop talking!
it starts off by a 10-tile pyramid, and then what happens is you shrink from the top 2 each time, so then you center it, and then you're left with this. So you get rid of these 2, this would be all 1 tile.
Good afternoon, Molly Bauer. Please come to the office. Molly Bauer, please come to the
So a
office.
lot of ways that we could look at these things, really creative opportunities. Thank you very much. That is everything for today. That's you. Simon. 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 Bovine. Simon.
You guys on camera.